Hello guys, welcome back to SWS Boxing. Delighted to be joined with Nathan Cummiskey, and he's had 6 pro fights, 5 wins, 1 defeat, and 2 wins by knockout. And how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Sam. Yes, very well indeed.
Yes, good to have you on. So,
thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And so he is looking. This isn't 100%, but he's looking to be back out in February on the O'Hara Davis v Lewis Ritson undercard.
Yes, I mean nothing's confirmed yet, but my manager is trying to get me on that show. We were looking to be on it. The fight was, I think our fight fell through a few times, but it was meant to happen in December, and we were meant to be on it then. Obviously, the fight got rescheduled. Our boxing then.
Who were you going to be fighting?
I can't say.
In case it gets made again.
Exactly. If it gets made, it gets made. But okay. I cannot say for now, and I don't want to. I'm not that type of person as well to be putting anyone's name out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's fair enough, mate. So going back to the start, how did boxing first come about for you?
Good question, mate. Boxing came about for me because when I was about your age, when I was about 13, 14, 15, I was getting into trouble a lot. I was fighting a lot and doing a lot of other naughty things, which I'll not go into detail about, but I was a naughty boy. When I got to 15, my dad took me to a boxing gym. He'd boxed a little bit when he was a kid and always been able to look after himself. We always had a boxing bag hung up in the garage. And I was half reluctant to go, but at the same time, I was like, right, okay, we'll give it a go. And I went and I just fell in love with it. So I was 15 and I went to Granger Park. It was a famous gym in Newcastle at the time. And I think I could have only been there a couple of months before I had my first amateur fight. I was training hard and I just fell in love with boxing then, mate. Yeah, so that's how it started.
And did you win your first amateur fight?
I did, yes. I won. I was so unfit that I stopped the lad who I was boxing. We were just windmilling at each other and I stopped him in the 3rd round. And I didn't know what had happened. So when the referee stopped it, I had no idea whether I'd won, lost. But yeah, I won. I won my first fight.
That was good. I bet you were happy with that.
Absolutely, yeah, I was. It was I think that was probably the start of that addictive feeling that kept me into boxing. Do you know, getting your hand raised and all after having a good dust up and all the adrenaline and everything else. I fell in love with it then.
So yeah. Did you go on and have more amateur fights then? Like how many amateur fights in total did you have?
Yeah, so I had 19 in total. And that was from over the space of probably 5 or 6 years. So if you add it up, really, I wasn't very active as an amateur. And that's because, well, a number of reasons, but I would be totally honest with you and say that, you know, like I was saying, I was a naughty boy when I first started boxing. I didn't like remove myself from the people I was hanging around with and the things I was doing immediately. Do you know what I mean? It took me a few years to sort of get myself straight. And then I moved to university when I was 18. So I started boxing again when I was down there. So it was kind of on and off. But I was always had one foot in the gym. I had 19 fights as an amateur and I did box under Nigel Travis. Don't know if you know who Nigel Travis is?
I'm not sure.
So you'd recognise him if you've seen him. He always wears a flat cap and he was Carl Frampton's trainer. He's very close. Him and Jamie Moore coach together.
Yeah.
So they've got like Akim Fayaz, Jack Catterall, that sort of stable.
Oh, so they're in that gym. Like he also helps Jamie Moore.
Yes, Nigel does. Yeah. So he helps Jamie with the pros.
Yeah, I think I know who that is.
Yeah, but then he has him and his dad. I don't know if they started it off, but they run Mossad Fire Station Boxing Gym in Manchester. So I was lucky enough to go and find that gym when I moved down there to study at uni. And I had another probably about 8 or 9 fights with them. So 19 in total, but I won Northwest novice title, like under 20 fights at 64 kilos. And then I won the British University title at under 20 fights, 64 kilos. So they were the only notable sort of wins I had.
So you were a fairly good amateur then, would you say?
I was a decent novice, mate, as I'd put it. I was a half decent novice. Do you know what I mean? I was nothing special, and by no means I had a wealth of experience as an amateur, or Team GB trials, or anything like that. I just loved boxing, mate, and I loved fighting. Do you know what I mean? That was the bottom line, really.
So is your promoter Matt Jobs? Is it?
Yeah, Jobs. So Matt Jobs, he's called. He's my trainer and my manager, my promoter.
So he's in your corner every time then?
Yes, he is. He does my corner. He is the man in boxing for me, Matt Jobs. So he's my coach. He's he's the guy who's got me on the pads, talking everything boxing with me. He's my trainer, and then also he makes all my fights as well. So he runs a promotional company, and I've had 4 of my 6 fights have been on his shows.
I know.
So he hosts his
own
shows.
I've watched a few of your fights.
Yep.
You
enjoy them?
Yeah, I watched your last one. I thought you did very well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I was staying up watching you, mate.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that, Sam. It's very kind, mate. It's good to know that you were watching. He was a tough guy, and he followed me the next day, actually, the lad that I boxed. And I had a little look on his Instagram, and he was stood on the top of a podium, gold medal on, AIBA behind him, AIBA championships, and he was boxing for Bulgaria. There's a kid from Italy on the right of him, kid from Cuba or something on the left of him. So he was obviously a decent amateur. Even though it seems like he's made a move to be a journeyman now.
Wait, when you unfortunately lost to?
No, the lad that I just boxed.
Oh yes,
the short baldy lad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good fight. So that's a big win for you.
It was a good one, yeah, mate. It was my second 6-rounder, and it was good. He was durable. He was tough. Like I say, he obviously had that good amateur experience, and it helped him in there. So stopped him from getting knocked out.
Do you not research your opponents?
No, mate, I don't. Not at this point in my career, anyway. And that's not with any disrespect to any of my opponents or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that I know I've had, of all the fights that I've had, I think 4 or 5 of them, the opponents changed at some point. So there's no point in me wasting my energy and thoughts on like looking at a fighter and going, oh, I'm going to box him or whatever. Because like the last one I got matched with him 2 weeks before I boxed him, and he was a little southpaw. Do you know what I mean? So you just be ready to box any looking at a specific fighter. Yeah, I might study him. I might watch a few of his fights, but I'll also say this, Sam: watching someone and being in there with them, 2 very different things.
Because they can just change their game plan up because every fight's a different fight.
Exactly, and styles make fights. So that you're exactly right there, mate. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. What do you think went wrong against Alexandrov?
Yes, I know exactly what went wrong. I'm not going to go into specific details, Sam, because I do believe that I could lose my license if I told you and I spoke about it in public. But I made the weight incorrectly. You know what I mean? Any boxer out there will get the gist of what I'm saying. Yeah. But I'll explain to you exactly what happened, Sam, since as you've asked. Sparing the details that obviously could get me in trouble.
All right.
Pretty much, I believed I had a day before weigh-in. Okay, so my first 3 fights were all day before weigh-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, when you weigh in the day before, it makes a big difference in terms of you can rehydrate and eat your food and allow your body to get back up, and you can take a little bit more weight off. Yeah, without being too specific. When you get a day before weigh-in,
the weight or over?
So I was a lot over the weight for the fight. So the way I had made weight for the first 3 fights, because it was a day before weigh-in, was like the conventional way a boxer would make weight with the day before weigh-in. Now, for the fight against Alexandrov, where I got beat, I found out the week, say it was I boxed on a Sunday, I found out on the Monday before that it was going to be a same day weigh-in. So I was well over the weight that we were meant to, even though we were only boxing at welterweight, I was way over that.
So were you like a super welter?
At least, yeah. Yeah, I'd say so, something like that. But anyways,
would you consider rematching him?
I want to rematch him, Sam. So I've asked my promoter to get me that fight this year. If it was my next fight, I would be buzzing. I'd box him tomorrow. I want to put that one right because I want to
revenge your defeat.
I do. Revenge is a dangerous thing because it can get you very, it can make you angry and fixated on it. And I don't want to be that way inclined, but at the same time, I just want to prove that, and I know I'm a better boxer than him, and I'll punch the head off him when I'm right. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that rematch will come around again.
I'm sure, Sam. I'm sure it will, and I hope it's this year. I really do. But going back to the weight.
Year. Oh yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So pretty much I had a week to do a same day weigh-in or whatever. So I crashed my calories, I dried myself out, and yeah, I did some silly things to make the weight the day before and the day of the fight. I weighed in at 11 a.m. and then I boxed at 2 p.m. So I only had 3 hours after the fight to rehydrate.
Was that at the Stadium of Light?
It was at the Stadium of Light, yeah. So mate, it still really haunts me to this day, to be totally honest with you, Sam, because it was my first big fight in a stadium. Yeah, it was a big event. I had sold quite a lot of tickets. I had all my friends and family there, and I just messed it up, mate. I didn't communicate with my coaches what my weight was. So when they asked me what my weight was, I was lying to them, which is disgraceful, and I've learned a huge lesson in that. Do you know what I mean? And it's made my relationship with my coaches a lot better because we fixed that. We knew that was something we could never allow to happen again. But I deceived my coaches, and I put myself and my coaches in a really dangerous position. Do you know what I mean? By getting into the ring in the state that I was in, and it'll never happen again. But saying that, Sam, I thought I won the fight. So I went back to my coach at the end of the fight, and I performed awful. I was a shell of myself in the ring. But I said, I've definitely nicked that, haven't I, Matt? And my coach is the first person who would tell me no if I hadn't. And he said, yeah, son, I think you've nicked it. So anyways.
I thought you nicked it.
Yeah. Well, there you go, mate.
But I didn't think that was your best performance.
No, it was very poor. It was very poor. And I was sick of myself. But this is boxing, Sam. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny because, you see a lot of undefeated fighters coming up as prospects, and they box journeymen, and then they build them.
They're scared to lose their own.
They're scared to lose their own. And I think it's there's a beauty in the fact that I have lost it, mate, because one, it'll get me bigger fights because people will think I'm beatable. And two, losing is actually really good for personal growth, Sam. Like, everybody wants to win all the time, but what do you learn when you win?
I know, but I'm sure you were upset when you lost because it's always hard to take.
Devastated, Sam. Devastated, man. I was really, really upset. Really upset, mate. Yeah.
How hard was it to come back from that defeat?
It was hard. It was hard. It was hard because I just put so much pressure on myself to win that fight, and I was on a good. I'd knocked out the previous 2 fights in the first round. I was on a really good streak.
Yeah, I saw one of them, and I thought that was a great body shot.
Yeah, I know which one you mean.
What fight am I
was on a really good.
Can you remind me? What fight?
Jan Prokes, he was called. He was like a shorter, like a little Czech lad, and I just sunk them into his body, and he didn't like it at all. But yeah. I was on a good streak, wasn't I? So I had my 2 knockouts. I had 3 wins.
So were you going in there thinking that you were going to knock him out?
Yes, but I was in denial because of what I'd put my body through. Do you know what I mean? I was like just having to tell myself, as long as I step into that ring, I'll beat him. As long as I step into that ring, I'll beat him. And I did get myself in the ring, but I didn't do enough. Do you know what I mean? And it was close. And I think that's why I want to rematch him. I won't leave it up to the judges, or if I do, it'll be so one-sided that there's no way on earth I'm going to be robbed. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Why that fight did you put so much pressure on yourself? Was it the stadium?
I put pressure on myself every fight. Nah, man, it wasn't about the event or like it being a bigger venue. I put a lot of pressure on myself. It doesn't matter where I'm boxing. I put a lot of pressure on myself because this is my career. This is my life. Do you know? And like when I'm at, everybody's expecting you to beat this journeyman. Do you know what I mean, Sam? Everyone's expecting you to beat this journeyman, and I just felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. You know what I mean? I'd sold tickets, I had my family there. I just got into a relationship with my current girlfriend. That was the first fight she came to watch, mate. You can imagine how I felt.
Wait, that was her first fight, like watching you?
Yeah, exactly, mate. And I got beat. So it was just sickening. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
That must have made it quite a bit worse.
Yes, exactly. So it was awful, Sam. It was awful. But the beauty was, 5 weeks later, I boxed and I won my first 6-rounder. And I got my weight right. I got my weight down. I weighed in at 10 stone 5 on the day because I did it all right and immaculately in camp, communicated with my coaches. I made all the changes I need to make.
Maybe if you fight on, I forgot whose show it was. Phil, I forgot his
Jeffries.
Yeah, if you box on his show again, maybe just ask, like, if it's the day before or on the day.
Of course, mate. Of course, Sam. Yes, mate. Thank you for your advice, but that's exactly what we'll do. And that's the lesson we learned on that. You know, when I lost, we knew then if I'm boxing,
came back stronger, mate, which is the main thing.
That's it. Exactly. That's how you react in life, isn't it, Sam? It's not, you know, it's a good test of a man's character when things are going not your way, shall we say. Do you know what I mean? When things are bleak. But I put it right and I won my first 6-rounder against a good kid, good strong Russian kid. And yeah, but I won't feel like I've put that to bed until I beat him.
Yeah,
so I know,
mate. You've just got to focus whoever gets put in front of you.
Exactly, Sam. You're 100% right.
Are you gonna So are you happy at welterweight, or in the future could I see you go up in weight to super welter, or could I see you go down?
Down, mate. Yeah. So if I'm weighing in on the same day, I'll do welterweight. If I get a day before weighing, I'll do 10 stone. So the goal, not long term, super lightweight is where you'll see me. That's where you'll see me, Sam. Super lightweight, 10 stone.
Where you trying to what weight are you is your next fight? Would you try aim to stay at welterweight for the time being? Do you make the weight easy?
I make welterweight very comfortably. Like I can make welterweight on the day comfortably. But like I said, with the fight after the stadium, I was 10 stone 5 on the day. You know what I mean? So if you give me a day before weighing, I'll make 10 stone. It won't be comfortable, don't get me wrong. That's an uncomfortable part of every boxer's life is making the weight. And, you know, I walk around at like between 11 and 11, well, between 11 and 11 and a half stone is what I walk around at.
Could I ever see you fighting at 11 stone?
No, not a chance, mate. Have you seen the size of them? That's like Troy Williamson. I'm 5'8". I'm only little. Do you know? I wouldn't be honestly. I would not be big for a super lightweight. A super lightweight, like if you look at Dalton Smith, British champion, he looks big to me. I've never met him, but he would be a lot bigger than me. So that's why I've got to get down to super lightweight, because in terms of reach and size and things like that, I wouldn't be able to compete with the super welterweights or even the welterweights at the top level. Like that's why I'm going down to super lightweight. That's where I am in terms of my stamp, I think, anyway.
Because coming back to the defeat, I'm not because I know one boxer who had one defeat against like a 50-50, you know, against another prospect, And since then, he's been getting opportunities on Wasserman cards and Matchroom.
Yeah.
So
brilliant. But that's it, isn't it? When, as soon as someone takes an L, I think promoters are more likely to match their prospect against them because they go, oh well, he's got a loss and he's record, and it gets you that opportunity, and that's all I need. Do you know what I mean? I've not got that GB 100 fight amateur experience. What's going to get me exposure is like the phone going off and them saying, "Oh, we've had a pull out. We need you to box in 4 weeks." I've got a feeling that's going to happen for me.
I'm sure that O'Hara Davis v Lewis Ritson, is that for like a world title eliminator or something?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's a world title eliminator. So I was speaking to Lewis about it.
What, do you know Lewis?
I don't know him well. Like, he's not like I do know him and he knows me, but we're not like very close or anything like that. But I've met him a couple of times and I've had some good conversations with him. He's a lovely guy. But he explained to me that is a world title eliminator, and if he gets through that, well, when he gets through that, he'll be boxing for a world title. So
well,
yeah, he had a hard year last year.
Mate. We'll have to
Sorry?
We'll have to disagree on that because
You fancy Davies, yeah.
I've interviewed him as well and I've met him a few times. So
who's that, Lewis or O'Hara?
O'Hara.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Yeah. He's tricky and he's good. He's good at O'Hara Davies for sure. But I've got to stick with the Geordie boy.
Josh Taylor and Catterall.
Yeah. The two top of the food chain.
So who do you think wins that rematch with Catterall and Taylor?
It's an interesting question, Sam, because I thought Catterall won it very clearly. I do. I think he won that first fight very clearly. But I do believe I watched the BBC documentary. Did you watch that on Josh Taylor?
No.
It's good. You should watch that. It was around like the build up to the Catterall fight. And obviously he'd had some, well, I don't know if you know, but Josh Taylor had some surgery and he had COVID and he was like, you could see he was very frustrated in his camp and he looked a little bit out of shape at the start of the camp. I think he said he was about 12 stone. So you never know. I know myself that like making weight the wrong way and, you know, your nutrition, your diet, all that, it plays a big factor in how you perform on the night. So I do believe a different Josh Taylor is going to show up. But I also believe that Jack Catterall is there, like world. He's top of the food chain.
Mate,
do you know what I mean? So
it's hard. Going into the first fight, everyone was saying Taylor's gonna like destroy him.
He's not got a chance.
Yeah, they were saying Catterall doesn't have a chance because I was saying that. Were you?
Yep. I wasn't saying that as strongly as anyone else because obviously Nigel was my old coach, who's his coach, so I was rooting for Jack Catterall, but I did see him as the underdog. Like I did believe it was like 70-30 Taylor. I believed unless Jack Catterall could do something special, that Josh Taylor was going to win the fight because he just seemed untouchable.
I was 99% sure Taylor was gonna like.
But he made him look. He made him look. You know, he didn't make not average. Obviously, Josh Taylor's never going to look average. But Jack Catterall made him look poor on the night compared to what he is usually. And I think, but the thing is, I think Josh Taylor is going to show up different, man. I do. But I still think Jack Catterall's going to win. To answer it, I think Jack Catterall's going to win.
You mean he's going to finally get the titles?
I pray to God. I mean, is it going to be for all the belts at 140?
Oh, I think, hasn't Taylor vacated one or?
Well, that's what I heard. So I don't know, but I feel like it's a shame.
There will be a rematch. No, because it's been ordered for a rematch. I think they're rematching in March. I've heard.
Right.
But I'm not sure, like title wise, what's happening.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Catterall. What about you?
I don't know. Oh, it's a good fight to be fair, but I reckon Taylor will come. I don't know. I like both of them, but I think I'm edging towards Taylor. I think Taylor will.
Fair enough, mate.
I think
because he's going to be hungry, isn't he? He's going to
I
be hungry
reckon
to come back and prove
I
them.
think he'll silence the haters.
Okay, mate. Well, we'll disagree on that one.
But
Team
it
Catterall.
should be. I like both of them, but I kind of want Catterall to win because we want another world champion to come to England. But you just never know, mate. I'm kind of 50-49 to Taylor.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
It will be.
It's going to be a cracker for the fans. It's going to be a cracker for the fans for sure. There's Needle there. They don't like each other.
Is it in Scotland? I reckon it'll be in Scotland.
Couldn't tell you, mate. Couldn't tell you. I think it'll be Scotland or Manchester or London.
I think that Catterall will go in there with a mindset that he has to knock him out if it's in Scotland.
Yeah, for sure. Because
last time
it was a robbery. Come on, mate. It was disgusting.
I had probably 10-2 Catterall, maybe 9-3. 3 rounds,
exactly the same.
That's at max.
At best, being polite to him, he won 3. You'd give him 3.
Yeah.
It was very one-sided, and there wasn't a mark on Jack Catterall.
Catterall just beat him. I thought clear.
Yeah.
Not even close.
He did.
But
that's boxing, mate, as you see.
This fight will be much closer.
Yeah, or maybe not. Maybe not.
A knockout.
You know what I mean? You never know.
I reckon this fight might end with a knockout because I reckon both of them are. I don't know, but maybe there's going to be a knockout. We'll see.
We'll see, mate.
Who's your favourite fighter? What fighters do you like watching?
I like the oldies, mate. I like Rocky Marciano, heavyweight. I absolutely love Sugar Ray Robinson. I love watching the little bits of footage, that's on YouTube of him. Modern day, who do I like the most? I love Jack Catterall. I do, honestly, I love Jack Catterall's style. He's I sparred him as well because I've been down and obviously I still speak to Nigel and things like that. And I went and sparred him and I was just like...
How many rounds did you spar in?
Only did 4 with him. And, it would have been a walk in the park for Jack Catterall, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it was a big eye-opener. And I came out of there feeling like, obviously there's levels to this game. Mm-hmm. But he is just intelligent, man. The way he, it's not the punching, it's what he's doing when he's not punching. Do you know what I mean? He smothers you, he doesn't let you work. He's cute defensively. And I like watching him. I think he's, his fight against Tyrone
experience, sharing the ring with him, for sparring?
Yeah, for sure, mate. Because, of course, it's inspirational because you see, you've got someone there who's at the top of the game in front of you. And you're exchanging with them. It's it was massively, massively inspirational for us, and it made me think, he is miles ahead of me. When we sparred, of course, he's leagues above me and whatever else, but
of course
he's only got 2 arms and 2 legs. Do you know what I mean? There's no reason why I can't get there. So it was very, very motivating.
If everything goes to plan in your next fight, that you could look along. Is the goal by the end of the year the area belt?
How did you know?
So that is the goal.
Yeah, of course it is, mate. Yeah, that is the goal. I mean, goals are there to keep you driven, and it's not like
because if you get in a world title shot now, that you would lose because you just know at the minute that you're not there.
Of course, mate. Of course, there's levels to the game, and you've got to earn your stripes, and you've got to come up. And you've got to build. And I think that for me, I think unless you've had an amazing amateur career and you can push on to world level straight away,
Adam Team,
something like someone like him, unless you're like that, for someone like me, I want to go area title, English title, British title.
British.
If you win one of them,
Commonwealth,
if you win one of them,
European.
the rest is history, mate. That's my ultimate goal. Is to put the Lord Lonsdale belt over my shoulder one day. And I think the rest is history then. If you can win a British title, you're world level. For sure.
So you've had 6 fights. So how many more are you gonna have until you want like a shot at your area belt?
2 or 3 more probably. That's up to Matt Jobs because Matty knows I'll fight whoever he puts in front of me. He knows that, but I also know that he knows me a little bit better than I know myself as a boxer. So, and he's got more experience in this game than I do, obviously. So he'll pick when the time's right, and all I've got to do is just box Sam. You know what I mean? I think another 2 or 3 fights. It'll probably be the back end of the year, but you never know. It could come up sooner. And I'm training now for. I see my training now for that British title in the long run. Do you know what I mean? I'm not training now just to box a journeyman or whatever else. I'm training like someone's coming for my money. You know what I mean? Someone's coming for me soul. That's how I train.
Yeah. And my final question for you, Nathan, is: do you have any advice for someone who wants to be a boxer?
Yes, but by wants to be a boxer, do you mean someone who's never walked into a gym before, or?
I don't know, but like anyone in the gym now, like, would you just recommend like going through the amateur route?
If you're young, do the amateur route. Don't be drawn into unlicensed boxing. I'm not disrespecting unlicensed boxing because it has its place in boxing for sure.
Yeah.
You know, one of my best mates, Matt Stark, he did unlicensed before he turned pro. Won an area title last year.
Wait, Matt McCallum, is it?
Matt Stark McCallum, yeah.
Yes, I've interviewed him. He's a good lad, isn't he?
He is, yeah. All he did was unlicensed, you know what I mean? So I'm not disrespecting the unlicensed game or anyone in it. It's not that. But with the amateurs, it's more refined. So you're going to get out regularly. You're going to get matched well. You're going to get great experience. It's only 3 rounds per bout. My advice would be this, and this is what I say to the youngest kids in the gym: get as much amateur experience as you can. You know what I mean? Win, lose, draw, doesn't matter. Just get out there, get in with a good gym. And by good gym, I mean this. This is the other piece of advice I would give. Do not spar all the time if you haven't learned the basics. If you're going into a gym and the coach is throwing you in there to spar, when you feel like you're not confident, you don't know what you're doing, and you're getting punched in the head, pick another gym or find another gym. You need to learn the basics, do the drill work, the bag work, get your fitness up before you start sparring. And when you're getting hit less, you can spar more. Yeah? Because I see far too often coaches in gyms where they're just getting all the kids in, whether they're new, whatever else, or they might have one golden boy there and they're feeding these kids in for him and he's just punching the head off them because they're novices and they don't know what to do. So be very wary to parents or young kids starting, you know, how the gym's set up. You know what I mean? They should be able to get you from beginner, intermediate, elite. Do you know what I mean? It should be, and any good gym will have that structure to it. But my advice would be that don't look at going unlicensed, do the amateurs, get as much experience as you can. And then when the time's right, you can turn pro. There's no rush.
And sorry, before I let you go, do you want to shout out managers, sponsors, just anyone?
Absolutely, yeah. I want to say thanks to Matt Jobs, obviously, who I've mentioned, John Slaughter, my strength and conditioning coach, Tinker Taylor, everyone on my team at Jobs Gym. My sponsors, the LGA Foundation, who've helped me massively in my first couple of years as a pro, and Boiler House Gentlemen as well, my other sponsor. And thank you as well, Sam, for interviewing me and taking the time today, mate. I really appreciate it, and I think it's great what you're doing. I don't see many other 13-year-olds putting out the content that you're putting out, and I think, you know, in the next few years or whatever, when you're older, you'll be absolutely killing this. You know what I mean? You'll be one of the best in the game at what you're doing. So keep doing it.
I appreciate that, mate, and you're welcome on no matter what the results are of your fight.
Thank you, Sam. Pleasure, mate.
Bye, mate.
All right, see you later, Sam.